Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Reviews for yet another episode. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be reviewing for you this latest Indian movie called Vettaiyan, which I did watch last night on Amazon Prime. But before I get into that, I will give you a bit of context. If you didn't know, I have reviewed quite a few Indian movies in the past already. So the other week there, over a week ago, something like that, I did review Devara, which is this Indian Aquaman movie, and then I've also reviewed quite a few other Indian movies. This one, though, is definitely different because it's the second time I've actually watched an Amazon Prime Indian movie. Most of them are actually Netflix ones. So this is a quite interesting, and so I'll give you a bit of a plot summary, and then I'll give you how I felt about the film. And of course, this will not be a spoiler type of review. And so, what this movie Vettaiyan is about, it's pretty much about this guy that is a cop, or so he was a cop, but he's actually this guy that hunts down bad guys while also trying to uncover a case about his family and who was behind it and who murdered a certain person in his family. And it's this big crazy spectacle as you kind of expect from an Indian type of production type of movie type of thing. And so how did I feel about this type of movie? Because that's probably the best way I'm going to be able to describe it. So Vettaiyan is a 2 hour and 40 minutes type of film here. And honestly, I actually really did enjoy this film. I actually not only thought that it was quite well paced, I also thought that the story did feel confusing at times, but once it reels you in and you're actually hooked into the story, you do feel like there's actually something happening here. You actually feel like something will actually pay off and something will actually make sense, which I do like about that. It kind of like teases you into the fact that this might be happening. And what I do really like is the fact that the movie does hint at who the murderer was, but then it comes and loops around into why and explains it. Even though, with an Indian movie, you're not meant to have this really grandiose, big, interesting plot. It's just kind of meant to be so messy, so convoluted, and so all over the place to the point where you're able to entertain yourself and really have a good time with it. There is that, but as it starts to pay itself off and really make sense, that is really good about it. And yeah, there are parts in this movie where the action is nothing special, it's nothing groundbreaking. Like the most action you're gonna get in this movie, I wanna say, is like when, the main character has a gun and he shoots the enemy and they go flying in slow motion. Like that is the most kind of action kind of set piece you're getting here. So there is that, and so because it's an Indian movie, like soundtrack wise, how does it go? How does it go? Well, I think that this is quite a fun movie. There is a point where it does loop around to the fact that there is just the main theme about the main character, which is simple enough and fun enough for me. But then the movie does open with a big giant dance number, and if you didn't know from my Devira review, I actually think that the Indian dance numbers act like an action set piece because when they're dancing and singing, the pacing just goes really, really fast because it's a bit entertaining and it's moving along really quickly. So you're like, okay, this movie doesn't really feel that long. So there is that, and so because of that, because of what I said, it was well paced. I also do think that the acting isn't too bad here. I really did enjoy that. Like, how it's completely different actors here that I've not really seen that much in Indian movies. So it was kind of interesting to see how they would all do their own little thing. So there is that. My One of my favorite characters in the movie was called Battery, and he was really really funny. So yeah, overall, really, I did really enjoy this film, and I would give it like a 7 out of 10. The reason why I say it's a 7 out of 10 is because the plot, because of the way the plot is, it's not perfect. I will be honest, and that is something to say about a lot of Indian movies. The plot is not really meant to be perfect, but with this kind of film, I was kind of interested in the plot, but then I felt like the characters were kind of more interesting than the plot at times because the plot was obviously, it was just kind of like, oh, who actually murdered them? Who actually murdered them? Who actually murdered? What happened? What happened? What happened? So that kind of thing wasn't the most groundbreaking thing ever, but still got myself an enjoyable time out of this. So that is my review, and hope you enjoyed this. Will be a bit of a shorter review, just something simple and easy to talk about here because obviously I've been building that interest about Indian movies. So see you next time for another review on the James Rambling Reviews. Bye.